Yes, right.
What happened was with my house was I was trying to get some help pertaining to what would happen with my roofing when that hailstorm hit us last year in May. Remember? Those big old stones were like the size of a baseball. I have about 3 of them in my freezer just to show in my archives like I actually have some. After that happened, I thought to myself, you know, that's getting pretty frustrating now. I've been trying to get help for I don't know how long. And I remember Eugene saying that we got to get these houses in compliance. I got my house in compliance. Then they started to look at me, and then I was still kind of pushed aside. Finally, I went to the superintendent, and I asked her, I said, we are tribal members who are still wards of the United States government. I need your help. My house, I live in it, I dwell in it. My son dwells with me. My daughter comes down from up north. She's been there for a while. I had a grandson there. He went back with her. It was just me and my son. I pay for my house. It's in compliance. And now, what you're telling me is that this lady needs help. We're still wards of the government. I would suggest to her to talk to Deanna, the superintendent. That's what I did. She said, I'll try to do my best. She went to the housing authority, and about 2 or 3 weeks later on, all of a sudden these people were on my house first, taking off that old roofing, and then 2 weeks later on, they came back with metal roofing and put that on the roof. When we had this wind the other day on my patio, it was still flapping. That's where our problem is, I think, from what Eugene has told me. He says that it isn't, but I think it is. We have to get everything in compliance. There was a tribal official at one time that was going to help pay for all these homes so that we could start our units back up again, get some new houses. They didn't agree with it. We need to start looking at that again. If we need homes, all of us, our younger ones, that want to come back home. My older brother and sister have been wanting to come back home for a long time, but the housing is not here. A lot of homes, there's many of them that live with each other with them. When I worked as a CHR with the Crow Tribal CHR program, used to work with a gal that everybody knows here, and she talks a lot, Debbie Haynes. Used to go and look at these homes and find out what was going on with them, with their leach fields, how many families lived in those homes. We reported them back, gave it to the tribe, and asked them for assistance. We go back and say, okay, we need this house to have a new field where they can drain out their wastewater so it can be evaporated or whatever. I was told from the lady that was our environmentalist house lady, she said, go ahead, hook up a pump, kick it out on that field. I had my leaser put a ditch there, and it runs in there, and it goes into the environment, it evaporates, those kind of things. We need to just completely help this lady out, like she was saying. Somebody told me that earlier about her.
I wish John was here, the director of John Odak Housing. I guess he attended some of the other districts meetings, but to that question, I know, for instance, your case that you had that I actually vouched for you too. That I got in contact with Housings and asked that they come out and help you. And I think this is the same way too. That maybe because I asked the question once, even in my case, I'll use myself as an example. I asked, I got a bad roof, and is there any way that they can help out, whether payments or? And then John suggested, yeah, we can send someone out and take a look at it, and then set up a payment plan, and we'll do your roof, but we'll set up a payment plan, they said. So I mean, if that's what she has to do, or if we have to get a hold of John, and I believe they can help out. And I know they have a roofing crew, and so I wish John was here tonight too, so he might have answered that question.
Even this community, a lot of these guys that are sitting here, some of them can pound nails still. Remember that. Some of these guys have experience in pounding them. They know what they're doing.
Hold on, one question. You know, I live at Crow, like some of these guys said. Bighorn District has gone to Putin. They're all scattered houses there. Go on the same way. I live up on top of the housing. Them houses were built, first ones, they're about 45, 50 years old, them houses, I'll tell you. And before a person moves into a house, it's gotta be inspected. It's gotta be inspected before a person can move into that house. And right now, the houses where we live, they're not livable. How many houses have burned? Them houses. Well, I can count about maybe 7, I'd probably say, because they only have small wiring. Some of them don't even have insulation. And circuit breakers keep going off because of the wiring, bad wiring. How many houses are we gonna lose for the houses
How many
or
lives,
somebody to try to look into? In fact, I know some old people that burned up over there up at the houses there. See, in those cases like that, you have to look at some houses and try to help them people upgrade of what they can do to that houses to be livable. That's my question.
Tom?
Okay, from what I understand tonight is we need a policy, right?
Update the ordinance, yeah.
Okay, you got my support.
You know, that's our start. Whoa, go down. We need to update this
Yeah.
in order to start doing all the other stuff. So
Yeah.
we're starting, instead of putting the cart before the horse, we're
Okay,
trying to
you
put
got my
the,
support.
so go.
You got my support. I'm getting tired now.
That's so, I mean, like I said, I know tonight we aren't gonna be experts in reading this ordinance, so if you guys have any comments at a later date and read through it tonight, read a couple nights, and feel free to give us a call at the office, and like I said, it's still in committee. It's still in committee, so we're at that draft stage where we can, that's why we want your input, and what we're
We
gonna,
just take our comments over there?
yeah, just, cause we got done.
If you have internet access, you can just email or go to our website, and you can click on the senator's name and it'll take you right to their email. My email is also on there, Sherry's is also there. So if you don't want to make the trip out there, I just suggest, or even a phone call, and any of those methods.
Anyway, two.
I hope,
It's in your
thank you.
newsletter too, the
There we
information.
go.
Yeah, like, that's it, this is good too, this housing ordinance that we're going to every district, there's some other ordinances that we have to bring out. There's a land lease ordinance that we actually have to come around and do the same thing with too, we want to do the same thing with. I know a lot of you guys are interested in that too, the land lease ordinance, so we'll be having some more meetings on that. But is there any more questions on this ordinance issue? I know I wanted to hit on a few other topics for the district after the housing ordinance kind of comment period. So, Phil, is that it on the housing ordinance? If you guys have any more questions or any comments, if not, then we'll kind of move on to a little bit
See,
different.
this is just a start. You're gonna have another meeting
Yes, so we're gonna have our public hearings right now.
here or two?
No, I mean, like, tonight's our district public hearing for this, so it's gonna be in committee next, so it'll be at the legislative branch. We're still working on this draft. This is just for the input, at least to come out to the districts and try to get the input from you guys. So, but in the committee, you guys are welcome to come in and sit in this committee while we change this language. I know it's a lot of tedious lawyer language that these guys are gonna go back and forth with, and from the input of all the districts, then hopefully we can come up with a solid draft, a final draft, and maybe you guys can take a look at that. Then that will be put on the floor for vote.
Marlene said she still doesn't have an answer on road of wood.
I mean, like I said, we can all push. Like tomorrow, I can give John a call and say, hey, this is what happened to one of our district members, and is there anything you can do? So, I mean, me and Paul can give. Other than that, And we got one of our, Commissioner, he can also bring up the issue.
Cell phone.
Yeah.
If you got cell phone access, they can go over there and take pictures with it and show it.
Yeah, so, and then that's good. Eugene's here too. He answered a lot of, I had a couple questions for him, and he answered some of those questions. And like I said, one of them I wanted to mention was with this new water system going through, now they can't bring that issue. We have bad water, we have good water now. So we have some of that tribal land, like whether it's here or the tribal land behind the public school or the tribal land beside the district hall in St. X there. There's land around here.
This water down here is bad anyway. I don't know why you would want to get off of this river here, because that lagoon doesn't work and it seeps into the river, so it's contaminated.
Treatment plant. Remember they're bringing the treatment plant. It's going up here. Another water tank's going to be going up here with and then that's what they're going to serve off. Actually, it's going to come from up here. Then they're going to treatment plant and the tower, and then that's going to serve those lines that I don't know if you guys seen those surveyors along the edge of I believe that's the pipe, that route that's going to take, and like I said, every resident can be offered that clean water that comes from the settlement. And actually, our water is going to be sent to Pryor, and they're it's a big old fuss right now in Pryor said they didn't want our water. their water's good, but that's what the engineering, and that's what was passed within the compact, and the water's actually going that way, and they're kind of mad about that.
So does that, was it $14 million that BLM was all gonna be part of that development that was handed over to them, and they're starting this up and the treatment is there?
Bureau Reclamation.
Oh yeah. Okay, then, once that is finished and it's hooked up, each tribal member will have access to usage of that water.
Yes.
How much will that cost us?
See, that's still
Should be free.
yeah, that's right. It
Should be free. Your water, you're still owner of the water. You still have a river.
That's what was that natural resource TJ's
Thank you.
A&D?
water code. That language would come within the water code, and yeah, that's, I believe they said they needed.
Flathead's got all kinds of their water right now, you know that.
Yeah, we asked that question as why can't we get it free, and then they said to maintain this, for instance, the workers and the operation, the cost, they needed some type of little payment fee to keep the operational cost going. So I believe there is the operational little cost that's there, but it's actually discounted though to tribal members, I know.
How about the non-Indian, how much will they be paying?
I think they actually pay the, like everyone else in billings, the standard bill. So, but we can, yeah, I seen that line that there, have you searched those surveyors? And that's a big can of worms, that whole water settlement. Other than that, if we're done with the housing ordinance, and you guys are, I know you're probably getting late here, we don't want to keep you all night, but I just wanted to touch up on a little bit of some district issue things. The first one is this store, which, as you all know, the districts each got allocation for, we had some economic development funds to go out and look at bringing services to each district, and we jumped all over this when this came for sale on this one. But from the managerial standpoint, Marlene, she's actually the manager right currently. She falls under the casino right. Casinos actually, we fall under the casino right now because they're already set up and they're kind of, as far as employees and paychecks, and we didn't have a system set up. But so we fall under the casinos, kind of keeping an eye on us right now, or actually that's who we fall under on this one. But we eventually want to branch out on our own. We want to run this place on our own, and we want that the revenues and everything else, we want to start using that for maybe activities, whatever, or helping people out or all that. But to get to that point, we need a system and a setup, and it falls under Section 17 corporation that we're eventually shooting for, and that way it's separate from the tribe, and at least we're arm's length. I mean, there has to be a little bit of arm's length there. So, I mean, like I said, Marlene's currently managing this place, which there was casino in here, and as last summer, how much machines do they have in here? 40, Marlene? There was 40, then they dwindled down to six, and then they wanted to turn this section into just kind of more of a place for someone eating in the summers. For instance, they'd want to rent a lot, so like that's why I had the meeting here tonight too, is if you guys, just to showcase this room, if you know, you guys want to have parties here, they're going to have TVs, I believe, in here, and they're going to eventually have food, and that's separate. I guess they're going to get a kiosk for that little casino portion where they pay out, I guess, so they don't have to have an employee out here at all times. Then this back room here, there's this cabin that's Marlene's been working on fixing up, and the furniture to start renting that out also. It's really nice. If you guys get a chance, stop by and she can show you around in this. It's a really nice apartment back here, and we can make income off that also. So, but we eventually have to start paying on that loan that we bought this place with too. So, I believe it's $625, $525. So we eventually got to start paying some of that right now too. So, I mean, little things like that I just wanted to mention to you guys and just update you on, and hopefully you guys have suggestions and to help out this whole, because we want it to, Big Orange District, this is ours. So if you guys have suggestions on how we can keep this place moving in the right direction, would be very helpful actually. On that, I'll let Paul comment a little bit on that issue too.
You know, big main concern, major, is like in gas pumps, guys. We got one of the cards, so people can, you know, put gas in any time. And borders, we got been pushing for them cards. There's no lanes up. I don't know what it hold up. Is it? It's a good thing, man, because they gas below. The government could get that card goodbye. Could the whole Chiu could even so that's what I'm pushing for. They eventually be on that district eventually there is sides and there are one. Like we get say next day on housing mama kachi. There's a lot of stuff over there that Joe is a little I need you know much. Water bike shield to he had a grant for $61,000 to put a tank up on top of that bench. Go grant, there's but he could have gave us water at St. X. You could have wow. It we go to value I won't if we get together and work as one. That's my goal. Instead of that political without cheater. Wakachis and quite politics deal with it again. It should be the try up on politics. It is really frustrating because politics is very involved. Now we're trying our best. We're going in the right direction at a very slow pace. It good by good to education hours. Go leaders. I get cabinet heads. Let's go. Good education. Good qualifications. Is really old. Eventually we'll achieve and get politics out of the way. Politics and business. Run the tribe as a business. Politics, all education, qualifications, good issue. That's go,
That was just kind of a little bit of update on the store issue here. Then the cabin back here, and eventually she's going to bring out a Facebook page, right, for the rental agreement and on the room. Okabath. I believe that we got the concessionaire contract on that. Still, the tribe still runs that, but it's kind of not nothing with the district. So but the tribe still runs the concessionaire's contract on Okabath. So if Marlene can, I mean, we're trying to capture the money here, and I know it's we're the one-stop shop, they call it, and they have to stop here to put in gas, and if we can try to capture some more of their money and think of ways of doing that, that'll be good.
I think we can have a put in right now.
Yep.
Sammy's gonna be working there again this next summer and trying to get Buddy to work out too, and there's some suggestion that they run it, so if that happens, then maybe we can get it
Work in
out of the
conjunction?
district.
Yep. But yeah, like I said, our main goal is to eventually run this whole place on our own, and so we can be self-sufficient and make sure our budget's right, and we can pay our own employees, and eventually there's enough to start paying at that loan, and then there's the community help actually that we want to start helping out the members, whether we look at building an arena, or rodeo grounds, helping the youth out in the summers, and we want to head in that direction. So hopefully this store we can start making some money and then doing that. And then Dawn, I know she proposed the what was that? It's instrumentality on the one you drafted. Maybe you can explain a little bit on that.
Do you mean for section 17?
Yeah.
Actually, my predecessor drafted that, so.
Could you explain section 17 then?
Section, excuse me. Section 17 is a federal law that allows IRA tribes to set up an entity that is kind of like at an arm's length from the tribal government. It was amended later to allow non-IRA tribes to get involved in that process. Currently, our legal team with executive branch set that authority up for proposal for the big casino outside of Billings. And a couple of those attorneys worked in Interior before, and I believe that their opinion right now, based upon the pros and cons of how a tribal business is set up, that Section 17 is probably the most safe from tax consequences, and also provides that arm's length position that attracts business. And so, excuse me, Section 17 is something that I believe that is kind of looking very attractive to the tribe right now for establishing that our tribal businesses under that scheme also. So we do have a piece of old business on the floor right now. It's called Salga Inc. It's drafted somewhat, however, we have a discussion happening in the legislature on under what authority will that come under. We have the Title 18 that has been passed, however there's another part in there that needs to be completed. There's a little question under that, and I believe that's tribal wholly owned corporations. There's an issue right now with the IRS, and they haven't really ruled on whether or not that type of entity would be taxable. But however, we do know for sure under Section 17 it's not taxable. So the tribe would have, it would have complete authority on its own outside of tribal politics, and it's also very clean in the way of not being taxed by the IRS. So we'd have the most autonomy and the most ability to actually make a profit off of that type of business entity. So we don't have any Section 17s that have been in the works for quite a while, so I can't really think of anything in this area to use as an example, but that process is used for all the big gaming operations in Indian country. So the big Indian casinos function very well under that scheme. So that's kind of why I believe that looks somewhat attractive to Crow, just so that the businesses are kept at arm's length from the tribe, are able to capitalize off of their investment and also not be taxed. So also under that we can do the fee to trust status. So if we need to acquire some land, that's also available for the Section 17 process. So it appears that there's more pros to it than there are cons. and that's still being discussed on the floor of the legislature. But this entity here was actually being pushed by our senators here to move them under that type of scheme, but with, I guess, with some kind of control or management by the district, right? So that would be like your board out here, if we established one under that type of structure.
Thank you, Don. I just wanted to kind of touch a little bit on that, so I don't want to keep you guys all night. I know some couple questions too. Roberta and Jeff. Good.
First, this is going to talk for a long time. On that fee to trust, how difficult is that process? How long does it take nowadays?
Generally speaking, what I'm being told is it's 6 months. There's a number of factors that can come into play. 6 months is very conservative. In reality, it could be like a year or more, and it depends on environmental issues. And I think there was a new law that came out, and I wish I could think of it, just a few months ago, where they also include the factor of how the local jurisdictions will respond to that. And to me, that's kind of, and this is just a side note to that process, it's kind of, I don't think that's a good idea, that we should be asking the state, you know, how they feel about it. I think it's a tribe to federal government conversation. So I'm not sure how that's working right now with that new law that came out. However, so for example, the one that they're planning outside of Billings, the timeline that was put on that one was, if we get it submitted, it would be 6 months to a year on the conservative side, but more likely a year to a two-year period that we would actually see something come to fruition. It is a long process. We did just pass a JAR, which is a fee to trust transactions resolution. That'll cover all future applications, and I believe that it helps streamline the process on the tribal side. So we're kind of cutting down on that timeline for as far as what we can do. So in the future, if we have an application, it'll be passed by LR, and won't take too long for the tribe to get those things going on the federal side. So one positive note, and I think that was, it might have been 14 tracks that we did all at once in that initial application. Mm-hmm. So.
Go ahead. She answered it.
All right, sounds good. If there's no any more questions, concerns, I just kind of want to touch base on the store issue right now. Like I said, there's a if you look in this legislative branch, there's a bunch of old business that are sitting in a committee. So if you guys have any questions on, don't be afraid to get a hold of us and ask what the status is on some of these resolutions that are sitting in committee. There's like the land lease ordinance and stuff that I know a lot of people have questions on, and they're just to hit on a couple of them. That's one of the main ones. But Paul, if you don't have anything else, I'd like to thank everyone for coming. And I know this meeting is good because we want to get more together with the district and inform you guys a lot more. And this is so how do you guys like this meeting? I mean, this room is good. We have the district hall in St. X also. I just wanted to kind of bring it out here and show it to. So we'll try to maybe go back and forth St. X and here, but thank you guys for coming out. And like I said, don't be afraid to give us a call, or if you guys have any more questions, especially on this housing ordinance. And we got Dennis and Don here that will try to answer your questions as best we can. Thank you.